Hi, in today's video, we're going to be continuing our series about law school after 40, and we're going to be focusing on an interesting topic, and that is, what if you want to be in the legal profession, but you don't want to be a lawyer, or you don't have the resources or time after 40 to go to law school? That's going to be inside today's video. For those of you who are new to the channel, thanks for joining me. My name is Peter Lamont. I'm an attorney, and I talk about various legal topics on this channel. And for those of you who have been following along for a while, thanks for joining me again. And hopefully you get some insight and information that can help you in this video. All right, so a few months ago, we started a series called Law School After 40, and it focused on, obviously, going to law school after 40. When we think about going to law school, we oftentimes think about people coming out of college and then going right into the law school program and what that's like. And in some of the other videos in this series, we talk about what to expect as somebody that is over 40, looking for a career change, and what that dynamic is like, both in the academics and in the social interaction with younger students. But today we are going to talk about what happens if you have this desire to be in the legal field and you really have been seriously contemplating law school, but for whatever reason, it's just not going to work out for you? What can you do to be in the legal field, to still make a good amount of money, and to be able to fulfill whatever it is that your passion might be within the law? Well, first of all, let's look at why might law school not be in the cards for you after 40, even though you want to be in the profession. And it's so individualized, and there's so many specific reasons why it might not work for you. It could be financial. It could be that you've got multiple kids and you're, carting them all over the place and running around, and you don't have the time to commit to it. It might be that you're a single, mom or dad and don't have the ability with either finances or resources to do it, or you just don't want to wait that 3 or 4 year period of time, and sometimes more if you're doing sort of a learn as you go hybrid version or hybrid model. You don't want to wait that long to get the career started. So for whatever the reason might be that maybe you decide law school is not for you, what are the alternatives? Well, we're going to look at the number one alternative to going to law school, and that is becoming a paralegal. Now, before you think about people that you might know who are paralegals, or things that people might have said that make the idea of being a paralegal negative, we have to look at what a paralegal's role is. So a paralegal is really critical to the running of a law firm or the handling of a case. Without paralegals, I think that a lot of lawyers would significantly struggle, and some of them might not be able to do what they do, or at least not at the level that they do it at. Paralegals or paraprofessionals have a lot of the same training as lawyers. They just didn't go to school as long, didn't spend the amount of money that a lawyer spent on law school, and obviously they can't go to court, they can't argue in front of a judge. But aside from some of those aspects of the legal practice that a paralegal can't engage in, like going to court or arguing with a judge, paralegals can do 85 to 90% of the work that an attorney can do. Now, you might think that that's a high percentage, but I don't. I have worked with paralegals who are some of the best and who have made my job not only easier, but more productive. We've produced better results for clients because of the work that our paralegals do. Now, what is a paralegal? So a paralegal, very similar to like a paramedic, has specialized training in the field. Now, in this case, it's the field of law, whereas a paramedic obviously would be, trained in medicine. But a paralegal would have a lot of that basic information. They would understand things like contract formation and drafting. They'd understand litigation. They'd understand the ability to talk to, or have, I should say, the ability to talk to clients, to explain cases to them, to explain situations, to interview people, to get data, to get information, to build the case with the attorney, to do legal research. There are so many things that a paralegal can do that, it's one of the primary reasons why I think it's the number one alternative to going to law school if, again, after 40, it's not in the cards for you. Now, with respect to how paralegals work, it's going to depend greatly on the type of firm that you are trying to get a job in. Paralegals at larger firms might have a more narrow role. So firms where maybe you've got 300 or 400 attorneys throughout multiple offices, paralegals might have specific tasks. They might be assigned to 1 or 2 or 3 attorneys, and depending upon the structure of that law firm, you might be narrowly focused on things. So for example, when I used to work at some of these larger Wall Street firms, you'd have a paralegal who only did discovery demands, or only interviewed clients, or only reviewed contracts and leases. And that's all that paralegal did. And for a lot of people, that's not what they want to do because it's so narrowly focused that it becomes mundane. Now, in the smaller firms and the mid-sized firms, paralegals take on a more enhanced role because the attorneys really rely on the paralegal to help do the work of an attorney, basically. So in a smaller or mid-sized firm, a paralegal might do things like, of course, investigate claims or speak to clients or obtain information, but they might help draft motions. They might help prep a witness for a deposition. Oftentimes, paralegals sit in on a deposition and can take notes to assist the attorney. There's more one-on-one discussions with the attorney about strategy of the case and how to either defend it, or if you're on the plaintiff's end, how to move it along in a favorable manner for your client. So what a paralegal does really varies depending upon the size of the law firm that you find yourself placed in, whether you're looking for that sort of narrowly tailored, focused, big firm atmosphere, or if you want something where you've got a little more freedom and a little more interaction, then you'd go to a smaller firm. But the type of work that paralegals do is very similar to that of attorneys. A properly trained litigation paralegal, for example, will know how to answer a pleading, that's a complaint in a lawsuit, or they'll be able to help draft a complaint or draft an answer, draft defenses. They can help formulate the discovery demands. They can help put together motions. They can do legal research and look for cases that might support the legal argument that you're making in a motion as an attorney. They can help the attorney prepare witnesses for depositions. They can help formulate the deposition questions, prepare the exhibits that are going to be used at the deposition. And then beyond that, they can assist with trial prep. Many times I've had a trial where I've had my paralegal with me to assist during the trial. So you really get that full experience of being in the legal profession and mattering, and I mean really mattering, because for the right attorney, a paralegal is their right-hand person, right-hand man or woman. I mean, it's really that important. Now, for you who might want to be in the legal field and decided that after 40 law school is not in your best interest for whatever reason, Going to paralegal school and obtaining a paralegal certificate might be exactly the right thing for you. All right, so let's look at the price differences between law school and paralegal school and obtaining a paralegal certificate. Now, on average, if you go to law school, you are looking at debt anywhere from 100, and that's super conservative, 100,000 to 200, sometimes $250,000. So going to law school, if you're not paying it out of pocket, if you don't, you're not independently wealthy and have that kind of money to fully pay for law school, and you, like most of us, have to get a loan, that is going to cost you anywhere from, really, it's more than 100, but let's just keep it low in case there's a law school out there that is very inexpensive, $100,000 to $200,000, and that's just for your tuition. That's not for your books and other materials and prep courses and things like that. Now, compare that to paralegal programs. Paralegal programs typically run anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000. Now, I don't need to tell you what a significant price difference that is. And for people that don't want to saddle themselves with $150,000 or $200,000 worth of debt, in their 40s, going to paralegal school is much, much more affordable and much cheaper. Now, timing-wise, how long does it take to get through law school? How long does it take to get a paralegal certificate? It depends on the program, but we're going to generalize here. So typically, if you go to law school on a full-time basis, it's a 3-year program. If you go part-time, it's a 4-year program, and if you're working on some of these learn-as-you-go hybrid models, it might even be a little bit longer. But let's just keep it on average and say it's going to take you about 4 years part-time to graduate law school. Compare that to getting your paralegal certificate. Paralegal programs run anywhere from 6 months to a year. So within 6 months to a year, you're going to learn what you need to be able to get your paralegal certificate and then get a job in the legal field. So again, not only is there a significant price difference, but there's also a significant time difference. And the impact on your life, especially after 40, when you've got other commitments and obligations, is going to be significantly lower. All right, now let's talk about money, because for some people, it's not just about passion, it's about enhancing their career and making more money. Well, if you go to law school and you graduate and you pass the bar and you become a lawyer, it really depends where you work, to determine your salary. Smaller firms, you might work part-time and maybe you'd make $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year. If you're full-time at a small firm, maybe you're making a little bit more than that. Maybe you're making 65, 75, 80, it depends. Mid-sized firms, you might make more, and at the large firms, you'll make, even more than that. Now, the problem with that sort of large firm mentality is, and we'll talk about this in another video, you have to be prepared for the level of commitment that a large firm would expect from you. It is typically mandatory billing requirements. It is expected that you work a couple weekends. So if that whole scene of being so committed to your job as a lawyer and losing some of that home time is not favorable to you, right? You have kids, you want to see their hockey games or soccer games or what have you, then maybe you don't want to have to bill 80 hours a week or work on Saturdays or the occasional Sunday. So the salary range for attorneys, it really, really varies from the size of the firm to whether you're part-time or full-time and in what field you're practicing. Maybe A litigation attorney might make a little bit more than, a legal aid attorney or a prosecuting attorney, or, just again, it's just a very wide variety of salary ranges. But before I hop into the salary ranges for paralegals, I just want to say that the idea that you're going to come out of law school and you're going to start making hundreds of thousands of dollars is an idea. In reality, it is very rare that that's going to happen. And if it does happen, you are committing fully to that mandatory billing requirements and the weekends. You're giving up your time. As a matter of fact, I remember working for a firm, and I had just had my first child, and we were going to do something on a Saturday with him, go out to a pumpkin farm or something. And they expected me to come in and work on that weekend. And I remember the attorney telling me that the law is a jealous mistress. And I thought about that for a while, and it just kind of turned me off from the idea of having to give up who you are, because a lawyer isn't who you are, it's part of what you are or what you do, but it's not you as a person. And again, I'm getting off topic. We'll talk about this in another video in greater detail, but for all intents and purposes, you can make a lot of money as a lawyer, or you can make an average amount of money. It really depends on how many hours you're working, what kind of firm you go into. But let's say the salary range for an attorney is anywhere from $65,000 on upward. Now, a paralegal, again, depending upon the size of the firm, it's going to depend on what you get paid. But there are paralegals that make more money than first or second year associate attorneys. Paralegals can make anywhere from 40 to 120, some even a little bit more. And it, again, depends on the size of the firm. So you've just got to keep that in mind. I know I'm a broken record, I keep saying that. But when people look at salary ranges, it's one thing to have a number range. And we tend as people to want to look at the higher number range and say, well, that's the number that I want. But again, it's really going to depend on what sort of level of personal life you want. Now, as a paralegal, it's not typically the same type of requirements that an attorney would have, where they're expecting that you're in on weekends, expecting that you're billing 80 plus hours or whatever it might be. Again, large firms, different requirements. Small firms, again, something completely separate. It's very difficult to compare a small firm to a large firm because their needs are different, their clients are different, the work they do and how they do it is all different. But my point here is that if you're concerned about income and salary, if you're a good paralegal, can make a lot of money. And oftentimes it rivals what first and second year associate attorneys make. All right, now let's talk about quality of life. How happy are you going to be as a paralegal? Well, it's really up to you. But you can make a significant difference in the life of the attorney that you work for, the clients that you're serving, the cases that you're handling. It is not a glorified, paper pusher if you're in the right place. It is challenging, it's rewarding, but it still affords you the ability to not have the amount of debt that you have if you go to law school, and to have that quality of life because the expectations are slightly lower. Now, where do you find a paralegal school or certificate program? Very easy. Just look online. They have the same type of hybrid learning, depending upon the organization, that law schools might. So again, we're talking about legal profession after 40. You might have other obligations. You might have a full-time job or a part-time job in addition to kids, and you need to do this program at night or remotely. And a quick Google search will help you locate all of those schools that offer paralegal programs with paralegal certificates. Now, what is a paralegal certificate? It basically says that you are a certified paralegal, that you've passed all the requisite courses that are required for you to get or obtain that certification. Is it necessary? Well, it depends. There are a lot of paralegals who have gone to schools and taken programs that either didn't go to an accredited school where you didn't get a certification, or they just stopped short of fulfilling that certification requirement, who might be very qualified paralegals and might be working and succeeding at a law firm. But most often, if you're going to go that route and you're going to go and get paralegal training, it's worth it to get the certification, because a lot of law firms will look and say, well, are you a certified paralegal? It's important to them for a variety of reasons. So if you're going to commit to a program, then just get the certification. All right, so let's just wrap this up and conclude here. So if you want to be in the legal profession, but you're over 40, you have commitments or financial challenges, and law school is just too daunting, it's too long, it's too expensive, and you're concerned about what happens after you graduate. How are you going to get a job? What kind of job are you going to get? How long is it going to take? What are the commitments that you're going to have to make? What's the impact on your family? If those things are concerning you, consider going to paralegal school and obtaining a paralegal certificate. You will have a very positive impact on the people that you're helping, the people that you're working with. You will be in the legal field, in the trenches, as they say. You'll be able to get your hands dirty, lots of cliches here, and really experience what it is to be involved in the legal profession. And I think that if you really are looking to get into the profession, and it's a toss-up between, I don't want to go to law school for the reasons that we talked about earlier, but what do? Do I just forget it? Do I give up on that dream? I would say to seriously consider becoming a paralegal, because the cost is relatively lower compared to law school. I mean, significantly lower, but for some people, maybe a $7,000 paralegal program is a lot, and I understand that. But comparatively speaking, it's a lot easier to spend $3,000 to $7,000 than it is to spend $200,000. So consider it, look into it, do your homework, do your research, and if you're considering paralegal school, one tip is call or email some small attorneys in your area. Ask them if they can give you a few minutes to talk about what their paralegals do and what to expect as a paralegal. There's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to give you the time of day, because unfortunately that's how a lot of lawyers are. But if you don't ask, you're never going to know. So I encourage you to explore, whether it's law school or paralegal school. Ask as many lawyers as you can. Talk to as many people who are in the field as you can. Do your due diligence. Get as much information as you can before you make this decision. And hopefully videos like this help you and help give you some insight into what it's like. So that's going to do it for today's video. I'm going to continue this series. We're going to have a few more videos. We're going to talk about expectations as an attorney in another video, and the psychology of it all. So stay tuned to that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. Give this video a thumbs up and hit that notification bell so you know when new videos come out. And I welcome your comments. Let me know if this series is helpful and if there's any other series that you'd like to see, and we'll put that together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.